What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champions' coolest campaigns and characters. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games or later on your favorite podcast service, B. Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you hear this live in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show. But until then, Erin, B. Dave, take it away. Oh. You're muted.
I'm still muted.
Ah!
That was weird. Hi, I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms, starring two of your favorite tieflings, Frida and Havilar, and now Mehen, their adopted father.
Yeah!
Also plays Cecilia on Dungeon Scrawlers.
Woo!
I'm B. Dave Walters. I say words about things. I just keep coming up with projects to be around Trevor and Erin.
You and I only did 2 podcasts on Monday.
That's it. Only 2.
Only 2.
Those are rookie numbers.
And one of those is
rookie
there.
numbers.
Yeah.
It's true. And neither were this show. That's it. Got to pump up those numbers. Yep. I like Dungeon Master and stuff. You can find me everywhere. But today is Erin's day. We're talking about her sweet babies.
Yes.
Right.
Mehen is in the game, part of the Modron March, which is currently going on right now. If you're watching this live, you can go play it right now. Go do the Modron March, get Mehen. If you're listening to this later at 2 p.m., you can also be doing that. If it's past May 30th, though, you gotta luck. Gotta wait for those time gates. You should have been here. You really missed out. We were really missing you. Anywho, Erin.
I'm sure. Well, hey, hail and well met, future traveler. I'm sure something fantastic is happening in Idle Champions.
You're right.
Just not the Great Modron March.
Exactly.
Now.
So Erin, where do you want to start with Mehen?
That's a really good question. So we've talked some about Dragonborn when Orkira was added.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about the difference between the sort of Nintirvale setting Dragonborn and the Forgotten Realms Dragonborn. Mehen is very much a product of the Forgotten Realms Dragonborn from the Kingdom of Timanther. So he was born to a sort of highly placed clan, Verthisathurgiesh, which I guess is a mouthful.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
You say it like it's spelled. It's easy. Verthisathurgiesh.
I think you put that into my Twitch chat one time for like Dragonborn names, and I tried to pronounce it on stream, and it was sad.
They're draconic, right? And dragon names are traditionally like hella long. They usually, for dragons, they abbreviate them or get the nickname.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, so Dragonborn clans have these big long names. They usually take their name from an event or an attribute in the past in the founding of their clan. In this case, it comes from the draconic for the Wounded Mountain after a battle where they dropped an artifact of a titan into a volcano, which made it blow up so big and bad and so much bludgeoning damage that it killed the red dragon tyrant that was nesting there.
As you do.
Listen, sometimes you got to do stuff to get things done.
Yeah.
Both of Verthisathurgiesh means. So Mehen was the sort of scion of the clan, the eldest son, the one who's supposed to inherit.
Excuse me. I don't mean to interrupt your flow here, especially because I keep muting because I'm choking to death.
Oh, no!
Stop that.
I know. I will die as I've lived. Go on without me. But if I love the idea that it's like the Wounded Mountain, not the mountain that we freaking detonated to kill a dragon. There were like some unfortunateness happened there. We don't need to talk about it.
It's one of those volcanoes where like it kind of blew out the side like Mount St. Helens, so it's like kind of leaning to the side now.
Got it.
And they're like, thanks, volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made up a lot of ancestor stories for the Dragonborn like that because it was fun, and I think
they're fun.
Good flavor.
Yeah.
Apparently. Scion of the clan. Yes, I interrupted.
Yeah, no worries. But his father was terrible. His father was somebody who's, the Dragonborn really don't like tyrants is in a sort of cultural sense, but that doesn't stop you from becoming a tyrant on your own. You can pay a lot of lip service to the idea that someone shouldn't be lording power over everybody else and still do it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that kind of gives you cover in a lot of ways if you're that kind of person. So Panjed, the guy in charge, was like not kind. and basically set up a marriage for Mehen that would have made him his handed spy, was the idea, that who will help take down this other clan. There are two problems with that. One, Mehen was already in love with someone who was another man. Mehen did not want to get married particularly. Dragonborn generally are like, marriage is for making eggs. We don't really care what you want to do. This is a business thing, which is its own kind of problem.
Yeah.
But then the other part where he's like, that's not a good idea. I don't want to be a part of this. So they fought, punched his dad out, and he got exiled because you're not supposed to do that. So he left for the village of Arishvayam in the Smoking Mountains. Which is basically full of Dragonborn who got exiled from their clans for various reasons, and also people who just don't want to deal with society.
Wow, so it's a literal version of Welcome to the Club. Like they're like, come on over. We got meetings on Thursdays.
A little bit.
Also, I want a shirt that says "Marriage is for making eggs."
I love that. I love it.
Got its own kind of problems. But yeah, that's where he found Frida and Havilar, who were abandoned at this village for various reasons that involve complex schemes of the hells and elseways. And everybody's like, that's a bad omen. Devil babies at the door. One of them's got a weird eye. Maybe just walk on by. And Mehen's like, oh my God, you are all monsters. So he adopted these two little girls, and they are his whole world. And the series is largely Mehen kind of, from Mehen's perspective, it's Mehen like trying to help them kind of become the best adults they can, while also dealing with the fact that he does not want them to do that. He would like them to stay little and close, and he can protect them, and it will be better that way. So that same story of like, you know, your family becoming your family of origin.
Yeah. I love that comic that Luke McKay did, where Mehen's taking Frida away from the champion. That boy's bad news.
Like, no. Yeah.
One of my friends saw that, and he was like, "Why is the devil in that comic so good looking?" I'm like, "Better question. Why is Lorcan so damn good looking?" And I haven't even seen a picture of him.
I was actually meant to sort of be Lorcan as a
is it?
Side. He's not. He's got. There's been some artistic license. You know, Lorcan doesn't have cloven feet or a tail. But yeah, that was kind of the idea. Was like, oh, she's flirting with some Cambions, and I'm like, well, here's the thing. Frida doesn't flirt. She does not know how to flirt. She's just gonna sit still and blush like crazy until somebody provokes her into reacting.
Lauren just put it into the chat. Thank you, Lauren.
But that was great, because it was like, okay, well, if she's like actually talking to Lorcan and it's sort of flirting, but she's actually like trying to get spells, like she's not wrong, but neither's Mehen. So I really loved what he did with that. Luke did a really good job.
I would just like to say, since Lauren is in chat, hello Lauren, we also just want to confirm that Dragonborn are all born from dragons, right? That's how that works. when an army dragon loves a daddy dragon.
Yes, sometimes.
Marriage is for eggs.
Right?
When a bard
Sometimes
rolls
those
a
eggs
good
make
success on a dragon.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I actually put in the books, because this is one of those places where like the Fori Court, the Nintir Vale Dragonborn, and the Forgotten Realms background Dragonborn kind of disagreed, where like the Dragonborn and Forgotten Realms don't like dragons at all. And then they come here and people are like, Dragonborn, and they're like, yeah, okay. So they don't actually call themselves Dragonborn in my books. They call themselves the Vyamniri, which comes from that same story. They are the ash-marked ones.
That's cool.
Because if you were at that battle, like it showed. And they're just basically like, yeah, we kind of tried to explain it to people, and they just kept saying Dragonborn, and we kind of went, okay, well, it's your language, have fun. Because yeah, it does seem a little bit odd, but at the same time, like it is much clearer in a meta sense. Like you're outside, you're looking at the book, you're like, I want the one that looks like a dragon person, the Dragonborn. Versus a totally made up word. I can totally see why they did it.
Also, we should say out loud, since this is a canonical lore show, Dragonborn are not born of dragons, kids. I know. I'm going to be like, well, B-Dave said. I'm like, B-Dave was messing with you. Yeah.
Somebody runs up to Chris Perkins. B-Dave said.
You know what? If they did it to Perkins, I'd stand by it. I said it, Perkins. Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, right. Can't lure me out to a game to kill me. Again,
I do have to. Go.
I was just gonna say, I love this concept though of races that are defined by like major moments, like how the Gith are named after Gith, you know? And it's like, well, who were you before that? They were like, doesn't matter. This is who we are. now. We're the ash marked ones. We bombed a dragon.
You ever been so angry at a dragon you dropped a whole other mountain on them?
Yeah, you ever dropped a god fragment on a mountain to kill a demigod? Well, we have, and that's who we are now.
Yeah.
Which, and by extension, we're people who are willing to do it. You think that?
Right.
Keep in mind.
Carry that with you.
So, there's some items that I do want to go through. By the way, I do want to point everybody to an amazing tweet thread that Erin did this morning talking about these, but we have a little more opportunity to talk a little bit longer than
tweet thread I think I've ever done. I'm so happy because the last time I did that with items, I crashed my computer.
Oh no!
I had to retype everything, so I prepped this time, but then it all went through on the first try. Yeah. I'm so happy.
Well, but actually, you know, I'll save the question.
Tell me what they are.
I'll save the question for the last part of this. So let's go through these are the you know, the highest level items that there are, because there are different versions of them. But I love this one, and B-Dave, you were here for it. It was the Viper's Fang chat book.
Yeah.
What is going on with that? Why does Mehen have a chat book, and what is the story of it?
So the story, like outside of the fiction in the game, is that the first time I got approached by Idle Champions to bring a character into the game was Frida. And when we were trying to think of what items Frida would be carrying, the idea that she has Havilar's chapbooks, that Havilar's just kind of shoved them in her bag, like, you should read these, was really funny. Especially when I asked my former editor for ideas, because we had some titles, but I was like, what's the best one? And she's like, it should be a chapbook called How to Kiss. And it should be full of like paid like bookmarks, like, here, you need this. And so that's Frida's like epic chapbook. But then they came back. How to kiss better, maybe. It was still just like, oh my god, no, I don't want to talk
Kissing
to you about
for
that.
warlocks.
So then
that is an important skill for warlocks. I'd also like to point out a lot of the sentients, I feel like the instructions would vary wildly, like from a Dragonborn, lizard folk, kobold.
That's why
you know what I mean?
Lots of chapters to it.
That's why it's a chapter. It's true.
One page.
Because you, as the sentient, need to be able to export the kiss, but also how to appropriately apply it to the target. You know, like, you know, you got to know about a Ferengi's lobes. I get it.
Oh,
like a series.
I get it. It's true. Yeah, because they're all multiplicative. You know,
right?
They're all A times B. Yeah. Sorry, please continue.
They came back and they said we want to add Havilar. I was like, oops, I put chapbooks in Farida's bag. Whatever. Havilar really likes chapbooks, so Havilar also has some chapbooks. So now we add Mehen. If Mehen didn't also get a bunch of chapbooks shoved in his bag,
I'd be disappointed.
I feel like he'd be left out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's got a series of chapbooks. They tend to see the titles suggest that largely they are like Dragonborn romance chapbooks. But the last one is a nod to Idle Champions Presents The Unfair Seas, because in that, I was playing Havilar, and Havilar went to Black Viper, played by Verthisathurgiesh, and said, oh my god, I have all of your chapbooks. And of course, Black Viper had not been aware that someone was publishing chapbooks about her. So one of the items we put in, the top item, is a copy of The Viper's Fangs, which is a Black Viper chapbook, as a nod to that awesome event.
I love
that game.
Not gonna lie, I'd read it.
Right. I think the flavor text on it is like, I'm not sure if I'm glad Havilar knows this woman or if I should be worried.
Yeah, that is verbatim. Yeah.
With those.
So the next one is the Unconventional Blade, which does look kind of unconventional. What's going on with that?
Is that the Mehen's Falchion?
Yeah, it's the one that's got the V at the end. Looks like a snake tongue.
Could I just say, just to instill one thing here, for friends that might be joining us for the first time, these are the items that Mehen, the character, can unlock in Idle Champions.
Yes.
We didn't actually say
that's fair. I said it was his items.
It's probably implied, but you know, these are specifically in the game of Idle Champions.
And these are specifically the purple versions, because they do change throughout them, but we'd be here for a really long time going through each and every one of them. So we're just looking at the high-end versions of them.
I appreciate that's his maxed out chat book. Is the
this chat book has reached max level.
You got to know somebody. You got to import that one.
Well, I also enjoy the fact that in the image of it, it's the only one that has like a purple scarf around it. Like, it's...
You know what's up.
Extra fancy.
Okay.
He's got 2 swords is the problem.
Yeah, Garwar in chat says it's Farida's sword.
It's Farida's sword.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got Havilar's chapbooks. So the other thing is that, you know, he raised his daughters to be warriors because this is what you do with Dragonborn children. As soon as they can hold a sword, you should start training them to use a sword. This is just common sense. So Farida has a short sword. Havilar obviously graduated past that, was introduced to the glaive. She's very good at it. She's really dedicated. Farida, it has always been a little clumsy and like not sure about this thing. So Mehen still carries it just in case. And the sort of implication with it is that he's sort of got better and better versions that maybe she will be enticed to pick back up. She can use a sword, but it's a lot easier to Eldritch Blast somebody in the face.
Can't verify.
100%. So that one is
come with a cambion attached to it. So
yeah.
That's a point for the sword, I guess.
The next item is Message from the Vanquisher.
So that set is sort of Mehen's sentimental items, like keepsakes. So that starts out with like that's a little piece of their baby blanket.
I love it so much.
So cute.
It hurts me in my heart.
I know.
I love the idea of this. Like he would have been like 20 or something. Like this like young, furious Dragonborn guy who's like got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and is trying to figure himself out. And then here are these 2 defenseless little babies that aren't even Dragonborn. And he's just like, what is wrong with all of you? I'm going to do this. And like he takes them in and like this gives him some purpose in that moment. Like he's got a soft side. So that's the first one. Then it moves into there's a love letter there's a little bit. So I will say like the series has been out for a while. The last book was like 5 years ago. So like there are some spoilers in here. So plug your ears if you are like just now discovering it. But by the end of the series, Mehen gets himself a boyfriend who's not terrible. And so this is a love letter from his boyfriend, which is, I believe, refers to the fact that it's a terrible poem because that's exactly the kind of thing Callan would write. In the course of the last 2 books, the Dragonborn are sort of, so the clans all kind of police themselves. And so you have the matriarch or the patriarch who's sort of the authority, and then there's sort of council of elders, and they kind of deal with their own business, but not everything can stay inside the family, right? Like you live in a city, there's going to be crimes that cross boundaries. There's going to be like a need to like put pressure on one clan to do something. So there is someone who is elected called the Vanquisher. The Vanquisher is elected every 10 years. And the way it works is every clan puts forth a candidate. Every clan votes for someone else's candidate. And what ends up happening is that the Vanquisher elections are pushed up due to unforeseen circumstances, and the person who was the obvious choice is knocked out of the running for reasons beyond her control. And through various machinations, the sweet mercenary that Mehen meets and is kind of like, I don't know if I can date anybody with, gets thrown up there as an opportunity, as an option. And Mehen's kind of like, you could actually be good at this, right? And also Callan's like, yeah, I could actually be good at this. So Mehen's boyfriend becomes the Vanquisher at the end of, in the course of the last book. So that fit better than explaining who Callan is.
I like that.
Get you a man who can control a bat cavalry for you. That's all.
I mean, that's just good life advice.
We're making a lot of good shirts today.
That's just objectively true.
It's true. Next up is the Fatherly Falchion.
That one is Mehen's sword. So the sword, Dragonborn in Time Anther sort of have more than one weapon. You have like the things you use when you're like going out and routing bandits or killing onkegs or whatever, and then you have your status sword. So this is sort of given to you to signal like where you stand within the clan. So like I think a great sword is just for the matriarch or patriarch, for example. And so they have that. They'll like wear it. They'll kind of put it on the throne when they're not there. What Mehen has is a sort of ceremonial weapon that he was given when he was a teenager as like, you're part of this honor guard. So it is a falchion. It is made in a sort of archaic Abiran design. But they're Dragonborn, so even a ceremonial weapon is a deadly weapon. So this is what he takes with him, and this is the weapon he keeps. The items are sort of progressively nicer. The last one I love is implied as a gift from the girls. And so you can see it has a purple ribbon on the handle from Avi. And I think I remember writing that it's she, like, I'm not going to name it that, like, she wants to call it something.
Oh, it's this is a sweet gift, girls, but I'm not calling it Monster Gutter.
Yeah. I firmly believe Havilar would insist that was a great name for a sword.
We are what we repeatedly do. This is all true. Yes.
I love it. Family clan piercings is the next one. And the art, I mean, the artwork on all of these is fantastic, but I really love the look of these. But what's the story behind them?
So Dragonborn in Timanther wear clan piercings. So basically you have piercings somewhere on your face that indicate what clan you belong to. Verthisathurgiesh wears jade plugs in the jaw frill.
Wow.
There's other ones. Kepesh Kamolik wears like wax, sort of a shape of waxing waning moon across their brow ridges. There's Ofinch Talagir wears jade rings in their neck. There's a bunch of them.
That's really cool.
A lot of these were developed in the Brotherhood of the Griffin series by Richard Lee Byers. He mentioned the Kepesh Kamolik piercings, but not the clan. So I made Kepesh Kamolik to go with the piercings. And then I made up for Verthisathurgiesh.
Okay.
So Verthisathurgiesh has jade plugs. So here's the thing. You wear these piercings. They tell everybody who you belong to. If you do something bad enough to get kicked out of your clan, you can't wear your piercings anymore. So if you're somebody walking around with no piercings, everybody's thinking, like, what did you do? So for most of the series, Mehen does not wear piercings. He does keep them because they are something that is intrinsically important. And even though he's sort of like, well, screw you guys, this is sort of a connection to his childhood that he can't quite let go of. In the 5th book, they go back to Timanther, and things have changed. His father is dead. There is a need for, basically his father exiled a lot of people. So his aunt takes over and she's like, listen, I have a role problem. Like, I need more people in this clan. And if I ask you to come back, a lot more people will want to come back. And then a murder mystery pops out, and that's much more Mehen's speed. So what we decided to do for these, they have kind of like wooden spacers, you have the clan piercings that he carried with him, and then you have these. And what's cool about these is that they are designed with tiefling horns. So the idea being that Verthisathurgiesh Anala has these made as a sort of gesture, like, you come back and your girls can come too. Like,
I love that.
This clan can be more than just blood.
That is adorable.
That is absolutely
because Mehen's like,
adorable.
listen, I'm probably not as attractive to you as you think because I'm not leaving them. They're coming with me. And she's like, listen, Verthisathurgiesh is adaptable. Like, that has always been our thing. So try me. But I like that little touch to kind of be like, here's this peace offering almost.
Yeah.
That you can be like traditionalist in some ways, but be really adaptive and willing to change in others.
Now I love those even more. Oh, that's so good.
Got you in the field.
You did. I came here to tangent, not to feel.
It's true.
Last but not least, Dragonborn scale armor. What's good?
This is armor.
Yeah. Yep.
The sort of progression from the beat up stuff, to like nicer stuff. Mehen is not somebody who's really into making himself look prettier, but people there was a scene I enjoyed when they're back in Timanther and he has to sort of dress up in order to get to a place where he can find out more about this murder that took place. So he has to kind of go along and be like, yeah, I am the returned scion. So they have him in this like fancy embroidered shirt and a brand new breastplate, and he's like, everything itches and nothing's fitting right, and stop staring at me. And Reed and Havilar are like, you're so pretty.
Oh my god, I love that so much. It's like Havilar's armor piece. The max level one is the pretty dress, the prettiest dress. I love that so much. It's so good.
So just as an aside, the prettiest dress, was that also a nod to Idle Champions, or does she have a prettiest dress?
No,
Okay,
yeah,
right, she already had a prettiest
So
dress.
basically, through this series, Havilar has taken every possible opportunity to get herself into a pretty dress. And that makes it more exciting. They have to go like to this Netherese wizards party to find this artifact he's displaying, and that's what she's excited about. Like, she gets a borrowed dress. She takes all of the pins so that it fits right. She's like, later someone her fella like buys her a dress so she can be like in court and Cormier, and she's like, this is great, but can we make some slits so that I can kick things? And yeah, she
Also, what I look for in my dress is, just for the record, just
right,
putting that out there.
It's true.
Pockets, kicking slits.
So one of my favorite things.
That's the name of our next podcast, by the way. Pockets and kicking slits.
I don't know what it's about, but I'm there.
I'll type up the schedule for it. Actually, what I didn't know about Havilar having that as the high level armor piece. I didn't know about that until there was like, hey, we're selling Havilar chests this weekend, and I opened it up, and it's like, get the dress for him. Like, well, she deserves nice things. Yes, I will buy that.
I love it.
So the question that I was going to ask originally beforehand was, you know, it can be one of these items or anything else. What is for you your favorite thing about Mehen being in the game? Like, what is the little thing there that you're like, I love that the most? Came with the hard-hitting questions. That's why they hired me.
I actually, like, people pointed out his formation is heart-shaped, and I think that's
so cute. Yeah.
I like all these little touches that Mehen is someone who's very gruff. I mean, his abilities are like grumpy and gruff, right? And he's like a strong fighter, and he like that's how he gets at things, is he's straightforward, and that's how he's always done things. And then he has these kits that sort of make him have to come at things at different angles. And so I like the combination of like, I hit it with my sword and little heart. I think it's a good balance, because he's not as tough as he thinks he is. I also really enjoy, like, he's just in general, like, Mehen is a character who early on you can see he's very like Havilar. Like, they're both fighters. They both hit it with their weapon. Right. He's more tactically minded than Havilar can sometimes be, because Havilar is very, very straightforward. But Mehen is generally like there's a way to do this while you're not doing it. And then as you go, you realize that actually Frida and him are so much more alike, because they're very inclined to jump in. They both have a little bit of temper. They both kind of have like occasionally bad taste in men. And
actually, Cassius put that in when we were talking about the comic. Is the real kicker is that they both have the worst taste in men.
Yeah.
We are our father's children.
There's this wonderful, I think I mentioned it in the tweet thread, but there's this scene I wrote where like Mehen is having to like confront his first love, his boyfriend that was involved in the, because like he's like, I told my father to screw off for you, and he's like, well, I don't know if I want to go with you. And later he comes back and it's like, yeah, no, I do. No, wait, sorry, no, this is too hard. I'm out. And now the kids are involved, and the kids are heartbroken, and Man's just like, no, I can't do this again. So he and Fried are having this conversation kind of around like our Johnny and Lorcan, and how like sometimes you know you get into a relationship with someone who's kind of terrible, and you're kind of getting something out of that, but then you realize no, not anymore. And just because you want to kiss someone awful, it doesn't make you awful. But neither of them want to tell. Both of them want to comfort the other one, but neither of them really wants to talk about themselves. So it's this very awkward, like, no, we're done now, but also this, but no, we're done now. That I really liked writing. I really liked that whole book for the fact that people kept pointing, other Dragonborn kept pointing out to Mehen, like, that is your daughter in scale and breadth, every bit. Like, I don't know how anyone could say otherwise. And they're both kind of like, no, wait, the other one, but oh.
I loved the just because you want to kiss someone awful doesn't make you awful. It just makes me think of I saw this image going around Twitter. It was like this animated drawing of like someone laying there having out of body experience, their spirit coming up, and it said, my moral compass leaving my body when the villain's hot. And I'm just like, yes.
Yep.
Like, and my wife found this out like in real life recently, because she started watching Hannibal, and she's like, So yep. I understand now about Mads Mikkelsen. I was just like, moral compass leaving your body. I love it. So what are some other aspects of Dragonborn that you want people to know about? Because I feel like this might be the last time we get to really go in depth about them.
Could I ask just one
yeah.
just mechanic question while we're here? What at least in broad strokes, what does his power for your formation do? Like freely makes everybody else lucky. Like they all get bonuses when he's around. Like what do you?
So I have to admit it's a little complicated and I don't totally follow it.
Got it.
You have to kind of balance him so that he's like, and it helps if the girls are in the formation. That there's sort of like they're getting hit, but they're doing damage and taking damage at the same time, I believe.
Right.
So
and then he buffs them.
There's actually a question about that I had to do some research to find out the answer for. This is from, oh boy, this is going to be fun to pronounce. Sprissaurus. That was not it. You know who you are, and it was close, and I'm sorry. Does Mehen require Frida to be...
Hey, Trevor, you just say it like it's written.
Yeah, that's all. It's just like that. Does Mehen require Farida to be in the formation to get the Brimstone Angels with Havilar? It says the wording says 400% with Frida and an additional 400% with Havilar. Both daughters get the biggest buff, but you don't need them both to get some buff. So that's kind of his thing, is that like he is supporting his daughters, and I love that.
As one must.
Yes.
I know Garwar has done some good primers on how to do Mehen and make it work. So I highly recommend those.
Yes. Well, I will always point you all to Garwar and Storyteller Mars before me. Nope.
We're the background. We're the background show.
Yeah.
We're the talent.
We're the ones who played the game, and then people look at it and go, "Oh God, no!" I found that out in real life on my stream.
Yeah, you were doing it. You got backseated.
Well, no, it was just I told people, I'm like, I love this game and I'm terrible at it, and they're like, no, I'm sure you're fine. And then they saw me stream and they're like, oh.
Yeah, nobody gets to watch me play Idle Champion.
See, Mars is in the chat. You know, he can help you out. But yeah, other Dragonborn stuff.
Dragonborn stuff. I did a series of things on my blog, which I never update anymore because I don't feel like it. But if you search for / Dragonborn, there are some wonderful. If you want to do a really crunchy Dragonborn character from Time Anther, some of the things that I think. I think it's, you don't have to, right? You don't even have to like be from, like if you're from Time Anther and you want to do something totally different, obviously your game is your game. Mm-hmm. Do what's fun at your table. If you like having crunchy culture deep dives, there's a draconic glossary, which has a lot of made up dragon words. And I think I've said before, like I can get real nerdy about Linician in Time Anther and Draconic versus Classical Draconic because
Classical Draconic is the two best words next to each other.
Yeah, it's like Verthisathurgiesh in Classical Draconic would be like Verthisathurgiesh.
That's amazing.
Verthisathurgiesh. And I think that's right. And so that, it lengthens. I know the one I know because it actually came up in the book off the top of my head is that yes is Axon in Classical Draconic and Akison in Time Anther and Draconic because everything sort of like becomes more sonorous and softer because I get bored easy and I make stuff up. But so the things that you want to like, if you want to add that kind of flavor, figuring out like what's your clan, figuring out who a name for because your full name would be like Mehen before he's exiled would be Verthisathurgiesh Mehen, the son of Panjed, of the line of oh man, I forgot her name. She's the one that makes the sword out of her father's thigh bone.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. How do we forget that?
How do I forget that? I can't remember her name. That line. That lady.
That lady.
The Thor lady. Corsaya. It was the line of Corsaya. So you have your clan name, your parent name from that clan, and then what line are you?
I just like to say, I was just trying to pull a quick Google over here that I'm like, yeah, what's her name? Apparently, there's a deep dive into swords made from human thigh bone, by the way. She is not even on the front page of results. Let me just put it like that.
Oh my God.
Right.
Well,
that happened.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some interesting pay-per-click ads.
Yes, you are.
please.
Yeah.
I do have one question about your Dragonborn culture, because we've had the opportunity to talk about this before, and of course, I think it's fantastic that you got to do this.
Mhm.
Did you have a human language that you used as sort of your foundation for this, or did you kind of have just sort of like some loose grammatical ideas? I know you well enough to know that you didn't just completely fly blind.
Like
so
blur, blur, blur.
yeah,
No,
you're like
actually,
Herkadurk is what they say.
there is a Dragon magazine article that has a draconic glossary. And I used that as the starting point. So that has a lot of words and it has some grammar stuff. Draconic has some weird grammar stuff. It has the subject cases are like first person, third person, someone I like or am attached to, third person, someone I don't care about. And that's it. There's no second person pronoun in classical Draconic. I don't know why.
Can you imagine when somebody's talking to you and they're using the swerve tense of the verb though?
Right? I love that.
They're like, I'm this guy. You're like, yeah, right. You're like, okay, all right.
Like the treasure of my friend, the
I just
treasure of some
realized-
jerk off. Like,
Yeah,
right here.
the treasure of this effing guy. That's the verb you consummate.
But
This guy.
so you
this
said
effing guy.
So you said there's
Yeah.
no second person tense in classical Draconic. Classical
Not
Draconic,
according to that.
you can't play D&D.
Yeah.
You-
You have to talk about your character in the third person.
Yeah.
But and yeah. And then when the DM switches to the distant third. But I figure there's a level of closeness in Theran society that you'd have a second person, which is Wooks, and then you'd have a what's it called? Like us, we, like a group first.
Yeah.
Because I don't think dragons have that either. So I started with that. And then for adding in words, I looked at Persian and Akkadian, because those were some of the influences that were kind of set when we started with Dragonborn and Forgotten Realms for names and things like that. So that, because the names are already pulling from those sources and sort of blending them together into new things, that pulling, phonemes and structure from those sources to make sort of new, more complex stuff made it a little easier. But that glossary got me through a lot, taking it and then just kind of shifting the sounds a little. It's Sean K. Reynolds wrote that, so
That's pretty cool.
I believe it's Sean K. Reynolds.
Yeah.
Just giving the props up. It's been a while.
It
yeah.
works. But before we pass over chat, any last things on the Dragonborn from either of you? I just think they look cool and I like lighting stuff on fire.
I mean, they're all the best Dragonborn come from the Ninner Vale, because that's where Arkira Eldrix comes from as well. So yeah. Also, they're all born of dragons. Everybody knows that.
You take that to Perkins and you tell him.
That's this.
But
Clip.
one thing I did, and I hold true at my table, is that you should be allowed to blend your scale color and your breath weapons, because whatever things were set up in Abir to be true, that's no longer true. You might have like breath weapons that come up more in particular lines because there are more of that type, but having someone who has, I have a Dragonborn character in a game who is Kepesh Kmolik, and is a cleric of Enlil. I added. So they asked me to add a god for the Dragonborn because it is a little weird that this long they've just been like, no, hard pass, when gods are like, yeah, more worshippers, and here's this city of like 50 to 100,000 people, and they just are like, oh, okay, let's stay over there then. So in the second sundering, the god Enlil, who was the head of the Theran pantheon, like back in the day, comes back and is like, oh my god, everything's the worst, and adapts himself to being the god of the Dragonborn, which, as I said before, is kind of transactional. Like they're like, okay, well, here's the rules and here's what we're not going to do, and this, we're going to keep worshiping you for this set amount of time, and then we're gonna talk about it, make sure we still like this. But he seems to be settling in. So she's a cleric of Enlil who I did not give proficiency in religion because she does not understand anything. about gods in general, except what she's supposed to do. She comes with the priest kit, and there was a long thing about like she has a sensor and she does not understand what the point of it is. Like someone just batch bought a bunch of like religious items and handed them out. So she didn't know what that thing is. But I was really adamant with the DM that I want her to have like weird scales. I'm like, I want her to be light blue. Like, and he's like, that's not a dragon color. I'm like, I don't care. like at this point, like, why not? Right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to be. Everybody has like classic things. Not that you can't, but I didn't want to. So if you want to do that too, you have my blessing.
Yeah.
There it is. She said it. It's she said it on the internet. It's canon now. Also,
Give yourself a purple dragonborn. It's you only live once.
with all of the
Yes.
with all of the UA Dragonborn options that just came out.
Oh, that's right.
Too.
Yeah.
There's you got a bunch more. Got a bunch more. Yep.
That was one of my favorite UAs to come out, and I'm in love with a lot of it. So let's go ahead and see what chat's been up to in the time we've been talking. Brian Cortillo says marriages for making eggs should be on an apron with breakfast on it, not a shirt.
I like that better.
That is really good.
See, but but that's the cover of one of your Dragonborn romance Chad books, though. Just like no shirt and an apron, and they're cooking, and it's like marriages for making eggs. And he's like,
so the first chapbook in that set is like beat up and clearly like has its cover missing, and I love the idea that was the cover. I think it's called The Lonely Dragonborn. Even no one believed that was the cover, and it's been taken somewhere else.
Done. There it is.
Banana Mobster, if Gith Yankee and Gith Zerai are named after Gith, who are the Gith named after? They're named after someone who knows more about computers than language. Oh god, not NSFW Gamer says, no, a bard seducing a dragon doesn't make a dragonborn, it makes a half dragon. Now, if it was a dragonborn bard,
that gets weird and interesting.
It does.
That's how you get purple dragonborn with lightning breath. That's how that you start mixing the components. That's what happens.
I like that. That's a good backstory. It's a good backstory.
Mm-hmm.
The colors mixing and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Never mind. Go on. I was just gonna say, when you get into having draconic ancestors, you could have multiple freaky draconic ancestors, and it just, those triple recessive genes kick in, and here we are. It you.
It you.
Play your joy.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is expletive DLTD. I don't know how to say yours, but they said, is this a new time slot, or did you just move this week because of Vancouver Day? This is a new time slot, and actually this is a cool little opportunity to say, one of the really neat things about this new time slot is we get to talk about the lore of the stuff that's going to come in the update immediately after the show ends. So on update days, we're going to be talking about that lore, and then you get to immediately play it. You don't gotta wait a few days. It's here. So
# spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you want to know about all the lore that you're going to be playing that day, come here and check it out first. Let's see. Cassius335 says Mehen needs to get Frida a sword she can spell focus with.
Yeah, that would probably be a better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he might struggle with making that compromise.
See, I like the idea. I like the idea that Frida has the sword and like she casts Eldritch Blast out of it like she's swinging a bat. So like Mehen's got to teach her how to swing the bat correctly.
See him being like, okay.
Keep your eye on the blast. Keep your eye on the blast.
I mean,
Frida was for started in 4th edition, so they didn't. It was she had a rod.
Yep.
Like there wasn't the spell focuses yet, so which one would be hers is a good question.
I also use violence as a spell focus. That's all.
Violence is my spell focus.
It's true.
Vancouver by night. Is it a regular chip on his shoulder or a dragonborn chip? Let's see. Reaver 01. So Frida's skill in handling blades is the same as her skill at handling initial love relations.
She's 17 at the beginning. Get her some slack. But yeah, I think like the first chapter of Brimstone Angels, like Havilar's like, let's spar, and she like Frida like tries to block her, and Havilar knocks the sword out of her hand, and it goes flying, and she's like, "Did you throw that? What was that?" Yeah, she's not good at it.
Chamber X77. I just read Brimstone Angels and loved it.
Yay, I'm so
glad to hear that you are also a person of culture.
Yes, indeed. Was that the first one? And is there a reading order list for the somewhere?
Yes. So Brimstone Angels Prime, as I sometimes call it, is the first book.
Prime.
The second book is called Lesser Evils. It is shelved sometimes as Brimstone Angels Lesser Evils. So that's the second one. Both of those are available. They were only printed in paperback. They are a little hard to find in print. They are available as ebooks and as audiobooks read by the wonderful Dina Perlman, who takes my very difficult to pronounce stuff and makes it seem easy.
I can tell you for a fact that it's hard to get at Barnes & Noble because I literally checked yesterday. I went up there and went, look it up for me.
They are the kind of books that sell for like $700 on eBay. Yeah. So I highly recommend the ebook or the audiobook. But if you find it at a half price books, snatch it. Please don't go on eBay and sell it for $700 unless you really need to, because it's a little bit tricky. The next book is The Adversary. That was hardcover and paperback, and then all those others. I think that one is still available. I think you can still find that one. Then Fire in the Blood, which is a little tricky to find because there was a misprint in the paperback. And so they didn't reprint it. And then Ashes of the Tyrant. And the last book is The Devil You Know.
Love it. So clip that. You can keep up on it later.
It's 6 books. People tend to miss the second one because it was Brimstone Angels: Lesser Evils, and I think it gets a little hard to find.
I still think the wild thing for me though, like doing the show with you, is that I legitimately remember years ago hanging out with my friends, and one of my friends being like, "Dude, you got to read this book. It's called Brimstone Angels. It's so freaking good. The writer is amazing." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out." Like I remember seeing the one for the Sundering like on the bookshelf and everything. That's wild to me.
That's wonderful.
Hi
to your friend.
Oh, I will. BD, you have some there? Look, I have some.
I was just gonna point out, and she finished the series. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh God, dang it! That took me a second. Go listen to our other podcasts to find out what that's about.
Dragonborn ship right there.
Yep. Herkwork says scales can itch. Sure, why not?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you see how dry lizards look. Yeah.
Okay, watch them. Someone asked me not too long ago, do Dragonborn shed their scales? And I literally never thought of this. Like, do they? I think they must. I mean, they must.
Yeah.
But it's also like, is it like a lizard where you like shed it all at once, or is it like a bit? Do you need
they molt
out like hair.
You know, they molt if you say they molt. I mean, we've already gone.
I'm ashamed of myself for not thinking of it.
Once you introduce breath weapons into the equation, the biological answer kind of goes out the window. You know.
Accurate. There was a time I wrote up a document for WotC about Dragonborn lore, and there was a section on the biology called like I think I titled it the monotremata ramifications, because people kept saying they're monotremes. I'm like, okay, so here's some things that means. And then at the end, it's like, it kind of doesn't matter, but maybe don't say that word anymore because it gets confusing. Because yeah, at the end of the day, they're made by magic, so their scales grow with them if you want, or they shed them one at a time, and you have to sweep under the bed, or they shed it all at once, and Dragonborn teens play pranks on each other with their skins.
That's what I was thinking. You could do that Futurama scene with Zoidberg when he just falls over dead.
What makes you happy?
Well, even though you're getting scales from dragons has come up a lot. Dragons don't molt, or we'd have heard by now. So by extension, I feel like dragon-derived creatures don't molt, personally.
I buy it.
But yeah.
Lauren did put in the chat that in her world, they do molt. And now I need Orkira to do one of those pranks.
Give him freely a heart attack when he finds the hollowed out shell of Orkira one day. Just fall to his knees like Apocalypse Now.
No!
I love it.
Orkira. Yep.
Oh, that's so good. Hey Wilson says next podcast, dresses, pockets, and kicking slits.
Y'all think we're
The
joking?
emphasis is really important.
It'll be
Yeah.
a review show about America's Top Model or something. Or Project Runway. There we go. That's better.
I'm a passionate fan of RuPaul's Drag Race.
There
They
we-
just announced All Star 6, so
All right.
Let's do
there
it.
you go.
There,
Yeah.
well, that's our next show. Let's see. This is like Canis 21. B Dave, do you have this is off topic, but B Dave, do you have an idea for what Freely's godly title will be?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, Freely became a god last night.
No big deal. Whatever.
In BD,
Long may
right?
he reign.
Well, I just feel like in Lauren's in the chat, she can probably agree. Todd's very much like, you're gods now. We're like, are we? And he's like, what are you the god of? I'm like, Look, I mean, I have questions. This is all very suspicious. I do know that I said he'll be the god of heroes and luck, though. That would be
Nice. I
what
like
he's.
that.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
who he watches out for. Yep. I got wings. I have green and red feathery wings now. Yeah, that's
Ooh.
Oh, no.
God,
I'll
Havlar would be saying, "Oh my God, everybody's getting wings except me." So
I'm
jealous.
I'm like, but you're very strong. You can just like jump very high. It's fine. You don't even need these. It's fine. But it's yeah. I'll let you know when the catch kicks in. Like,
Because you know it's coming. You know it is.
yeah. He's like, surprise, your gods, and we're like, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Any other DM says that, I might believe it.
Yeah, yay! Right, but this particular context, we're like, it's gonna be Atlas, like you gods, but you have to like stay here and hold up the planet or give up your power and leave, like something.
Yeah.
I know that man. Something coming.
I do have to say, Jay put in the text doc about the podcast dresses, pockets, and kicking slits. It's reviewing how practical runway outfits would be in a fight.
I also can speak to such things with some authority.
That's so good. Reaver01. So in classic Draconic, the most classic Abbott and Costello skit would be who's on first and I don't know is on third because there's no person on second.
All true. All true.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Just as an aside, while we're talking about kicking slits, in my graphic novel Electropunk, our main protagonist is a girl named Ruthie, and we did design her clothes. Her clothes have like snaps and things in them, so she could kick people and like her clothes won't come off. We did think of that in the
Nice.
character design.
I
That's
love
true.
it. I love
Yep.
it. NS
Also, this freaking guy's on third.
I love the idea that dragons just refer to this freaking guy every single one. So I was hanging out with this
Especially when you
freaking
don't
guy.
know. Yeah, but I mean, like who's this guy? You're like, I'm just buying mead at the tavern. Like, what? I don't even know you, man.
The thing I love too is it's like an agglutinative language, so that's a prefix that you stick on.
Mhm.
So the third person, I think it's R. I think AR. You put that at the front, and then you kind of glom all the bits on, and the order is determined by like what is the most important thing to the speaker. So that little tiny suffix, that one little brief R, says this freaking guy. Like, it's great.
Imagine if it's all at the end. You know, it's like this strong, powerful warrior. You know, yeah, all right. But there's this guy. You're like, ow.
But I like the idea that it is all crunched together. So it's like, this is Velishka Namakara, this freaking guy.
Guess I'll die.
Guess I'll die, yeah. NSFW Gamer says, if I ever make a Dragonborn character, I will refer to my breath weapon as shouting.
Yes, I love it.
Let's see.
Well, that was a thing someone pointed out on Twitter that I've never mentioned. One of the things I did in the books is that my Dragonborn, when they're nervous, they tap their tongue, because if they are sort of related to dragons and monotremes and all these other things, that they would have an enhanced Jacobson's organ, so they would be like kind of tasting the air to like see if they could kind of get a vibe off of people. So when Mehen is anxious, like he does that because that animals will do that to kind of introduce more air into the spot where that that organ exists in their noses. So that is a thing I do with Dragonborn for when they're nervous. Also, when they start to get like a little fighty, their breath weapons start, like Mehen's lightning will kind of crackle in his teeth, or there's a character Kepish Kmolek who has frost breath, and she'll get like ice around the corners of her mouth.
That's cool.
So if you want to signal your Dragonborn character's mood with physical things, there you go.
To like clicking their tongue when they're nervous, I just think of the in the Princess Bride in the fire swamp, the right before the flames went off, like you just hear that from all the Dragonborn.
Oh,
like,
no.
You're like, what are they? Oh, just.
They didn't like what they tasted.
Mm-hmm. Is it like a flint and steel? That's what they are. Yeah. That's it from now on, Orkira. That's it. So you got a flint and steel in your mouth. Freely's just gonna be like looking at you, trying to figure out how you're doing that. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I like this. I just saw Vancouver Knight put in the chat, my Dragonborn breathes smoke when annoyed. I like that.
That would be a good one for the fire breath weapon, totally.
Original Angston says, I hadn't known there were 6 novels. I had only read the first 3. Hunted down copies of Fire in the Blood, Ashes in the Tower, and The Devil You Know. Awesome. You enjoy those.
In that series, the Adversary is sort of the dark one. That's and then Fire in the Blood is the more rom-com-y palate cleanser. There's still lots of bad guys and Shadowbar and murder and things, but you can get through Adversary, then you get Fire in the Blood. Cormier is full of stuff like that. Court intrigue, smooching, stuff things.
Intrigue, smooching, you know. Let's see. Cassius335 come back and says, sounds like Brimstone Angels books need a reprint collection. Yes, they do. Catch 23 needs a scene with Freely making awful disgusted noises while scratching around Orkira's wings joints. What?
Is it molting, I guess?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
There we go.
I'm like, I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, yeah, no, it's she is a wonder of aviation. You know?
Cassius335 says, Freely could probably clone Orkira by trying to bring her husk back to life.
I'm not above it. It'd be Simulacrum 2.
God.
There it is. Done. Oh, could you imagine like this like hollowed out ghostly just skin Orkira that we've still reanimated that is like now gonna be our friend? I'll have a skin Orkira friend.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
That though, I just noticed the time is all the time that we've got for chat and some lore. Erin, thank you so much for telling us all about Mehen. I know a lot more now.
Listening.
I hope chat and listeners do as well. Friends, where can people find you and what awesome things you're working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can catch me later today on twitch.tv/Dungeons Scrawlers at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, where I play Cecilia, who's definitely not a warlock.
Absolutely.
And you can listen to me talk to these two guys about writing fantasy and writing in general, along with some excellent guests.
Yeah.
On writing about dragons and shit.
Yeah. New episode went up today.
All true. Hey, B-Dave Walters. I say words about things. DM, the all over the place. You can find me wherever fine streaming content can be located. I think the most important things are Thursdays at 4, Black Dice Society. Yay!
Yeah!
On D&D, Twitch, and YouTube. We do have the world's hunkiest podcast producer for that one, too. That is true.
Who could it be?
Also, this Saturday, St. Jude's Plays at 11:30. I'll be playing with Mika Burton, Xavier Woods, Anna Proser, and Anthony Rapp, raising money to help some sick kids at 11:30 Pacific, which apparently is just on twitch.tv. Apparently that's a thing. You can have no sub.
That's
channel.
wild.
We're just on Twitch, I guess.
Congrats.
So, so 11:30 a.m. this Saturday. Gonna try and make a difference. And yeah, that's it.
Do want to call out that while we were recording, the End of the Motherlands Kickstarter passed $200,000.
Yay!
So if you're watching live, you're listening, recent, go check out that Kickstarter.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, 200 grand in a week. It's we're very proud. Little thing we're doing. So yeah, check that out. Into the Motherlands.
You can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast every Friday, as well as Champions of Psychology every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games. And you also follow me on Twitter at the Trevor. There's an A hiding in there, and a whole bunch of other podcasts writing about dragon shit, which I do with these two lovely folks. Let's see. Thank you to Jay from modding in the chat, as always, doing a fantastic job getting some good podcast ideas in there. Thank you to Codename Entertainment for giving us a chance to talk about some D&D. If you're here with us live right now, be sure to come back at 1 p.m. for Storyteller Mars, showing you in Mars's guiding hand, showing you how to do some of that cool stuff in game. In fact, now with update days, you get the lore before the update, and then after the update, you get to see all the cool stuff that Mars does with it and what you can do with it as well. Yeah, if you did miss any part of the show, be sure to check out the podcast version of it at 2 p.m. It goes up the same day every week. And if you have any suggestions for future lore topics you might want us to talk about, you can send those to championsoflore@codenameentertainment.com. But until next week, Champions out.